This applied to her. Why from the world to make fine wisdom from force scattered strength and love and beauty out to war and night, the wage of wonderful, the game begun.
Good morning. We're reading in Book 10, the book of the double twilight, Canto 4, the dream twilight of the earthly real. We've come to page 661. Suresh? So we're coming to the culmination of Savitri's and Death's debate. Savitri is now speaking to Death. She has been describing her view of existence and of death, what he represents. And in her description of existence, which we can say is Sri Aurobindo's perspective. So here she's giving quite a long monologue describing Sri Aurobindo's view of existence. And she's coming to the point now where she's going to be describing the higher levels of consciousness leading up to the supermind and describing what the supramental realms, worlds are like, which her aim is to manifest on earth. And I just want to review a little bit of what we read last time on page 656. So here she's describing the reconciliation of the dualities that govern our existence. And so she's harmonizing them and seeing how they fit together. At the middle of the page, 656, she says, all contraries are aspects of God's face. The many are the innumerable one. The one carries the multitude in his breast. He is the impersonal, inscrutable soul. He is the one infinite person, seeing his world. The silence bears the eternal's great dumb seal. His light inspires the eternal word. He is the immobile's deep and deathless hush, its white and signless, blank, negating calm. Yet stands the Creator Self, the Almighty Lord, and watches his will done by the forms of gods, and the desire that goads half-conscious man, and the reluctant and unseeing night. These wide divine extremes, these inverse powers, are the right and left side of the body of God. Existence balanced twixt two mighty arms confronts the mind with unsolved abysms of thought. Darkness below, a fathomless light above. In light are joined, but sundered by severing mind. Stand face to face, opposite, inseparable. Two contraries, needed for his great world task. Two poles whose currents wake the immense world force. So I just wanted to read that reconciliation of the dualities governing our world, the light and the darkness. We see at the end of that explanation that those dualities above, a fathomless light above, in light are joined. The contraries are joined in the light above, but are sundered by severing mind. Our mind divides the one reality, and we see it in opposing aspects that stand face to face, opposite, but inseparable. Two contraries needed for his great world task. And after that, she describes the process of evolution, in which the one has buried himself as if in a seed in the dark inconscience, in an absolute unconsciousness. And from there is sprouting, is arising gradually in the course of evolution. Maybe just a little bit more, 658, about 8 lines down. These million discords dot the harmonious theme of the evolution's huge orchestral dance. The truth supreme has forced the world to be. It has wrapped itself in matter as in a shroud of death, a shroud of ignorance. It compelled the suns to burn through silent space, flame signs of its uncomprehended thought. And it goes on, and it explains how it's arisen in forms of life and mind, and gradually is evolving this consciousness, working through an embodied life, through a being of brain and nerve. And then he speaks of the evolution of man and how mankind is gradually evolving and opening to a higher spiritual consciousness. So there he starts describing those higher levels of consciousness to which humanity is opening and is able to receive something of that higher spiritual light in which these contraries are harmonized. And he describes these highest levels of the spiritual mind, the levels of intuition in which the truth, consciousness above, is able to see particular aspects of the existence in truth, in the light, without error, but only at particular points. This is the intuition. And then even that intuition is able to kind of burrow into matter and to reveal the underlying truth and oneness behind each of the forms. Because we see that each of these different forms of material existence are aspects of God, of the one divine, faces of the one divine. So it's able to delve into those different forms and reveal the truth behind, whether it's a being or an event. And then higher, above, Savitri describes the overmental consciousness, where all is seen in a single glance, a single view. On 660, about 2/3 of the way down, then stretches the boundless finite's last expanse, the cosmic empire of the overmind, time's buffer state bordering eternity, too vast for the experience of man's soul. All here gathers beneath one golden sky. The powers that build the cosmos station take in its house of infinite possibility, mind consciousness. The line that parts and joins the hemispheres. These hemispheres are the worlds of the ignorance in which there is division and oneness is not seen, and the worlds of the knowledge in which the one is manifest. Underlies the multiplicity. So that's the overmind joins these two levels of existence, the existence of knowledge and the existence of ignorance. And so there we left off, and we'll begin, and we'll start with you.
In her glorious kingdom of eternal light, all ruler, ruled by none, the truth supreme, omnipotent, omniscient, and alone, in a golden country, keeps her measureless house. In its corridor, she hears the tread that comes of the unmanifest, never to return till the unknown is known and seen by man. Above the stretch and blaze of cosmic sight, above the silence of the wordless thought, formless creator of immortal forms, nameless, investitured with the name divine, transcending time's hours, transcending timelessness. The mighty mother sits in lucent calm and holds the eternal child upon her knees, attending the day when he shall speak to fate.
Thank you. Let's pause there. So again, we're reading on page 661, the first half of the page. So we see in this first line, Sri Aurobindo subtly slips in this pronoun her, in her glorious kingdom of eternal light. And only towards the end of that portion just read, he says, or identifies her as the mighty mother, the divine mother, creator of all this multiplicity, all ruler, ruled by none, the truth supreme, omnipotent, omniscient, and alone. In a golden country keeps her measureless house. In its corridor she hears the tread that comes out of the unmanifest, never to return. She brings forth out of the unmanifest the manifestation, the creation. And we see that as she brings it out, perhaps her intent, till the unknown is known and seen by men. Well, the manifestation emerges out of the unmanifest. And perhaps it suggests that it too is eternal. So there's a qualifier she's pointing out. Never till return until the unknown is known and seen by men. Until in that course of the evolution, it has taken the step in which we can enter again into the unmanifest. We can experience the unmanifest while manifested, where there is this reconciliation between the manifest and the unmanifest. We come from that unmanifest. And to that unmanifest we can return. But the two are eternal. She aims at an embodiment of the divine. Mm. So, but first he's still describing her position, right? She's above the stretch and blaze of cosmic sight. She's above the universe and even the vision of the universe, above the silence of the wordless thought. She is above, she is really above the unmanifest and the manifest. Formless creator of immortal forms, nameless, investitured with the name divine. Again, she's reconciling. She's the reconciliation of the nameless and the name, of the silence and the word. Transcending time's hours, transcending timelessness. She's the absolute. The mighty mother sits in lucent calm. Lucent, it's bright, aware, and holds the eternal child upon her knees, attending the day when he shall speak to fate. So who's this eternal child? Sometimes Sri Aurobindo refers to the soul as a child. The soul being that divine element within the manifestation, within each being. And as a child, the soul develops over the course of the evolution, passes through a series of many lives, becoming more and more manifest in the forms that it assumes, until the day when he shall speak to fate. He is the eternal child. The day of fate. Yeah, when he will no longer be limited by nature, by death. Sometimes in Savitri, fate refers to death. Death is our fate. No? It's the fate of every living being. So sometimes Sri Aurobindo uses it in that sense. And Savitri herself supramental being that will manifest in the knowledge where the one and the many are reconciled, but here on earth. That supramental manifestation where the one and the many are joined in light, but here on earth in an embodied being, the golden child. Golden generally represents for Sri Aurobindo this supramental light. So that's what B is kind of suggesting, this golden child. Yeah. So we could say this supramental being, because it's that being who will speak to fate, who will overcome death and ignorance and pain and suffering. So let's continue. Either of you. Jose. There is the image.
There is the image of our future's hope. There is the sun for which all darkness waits. There is the imperishable harmony. The world's contradictions climb to her and are one. There is the truth of which the world's truth are shreds. The light of which the world's ignorance is the shade. Till truth draws back the shade that it has cast, the love our hearts call down to heal our strife, all strife. The bliss for which the world's derelict sorrows yearn. Hence comes the glory sometimes seen on earth, the visits of Godhead to the human soul, the beauty and the dream on nature's face. There the perfection born from eternity calls to it the perfection born in time. The truth of God surprising human life, the image of God overtaking finite shapes. There in a world of everlasting light, in the realms of the immortal supermind. Truth, who hides here her head in mystery, her riddle teamed by reason impossible. In the stark structure of material form, unimaged, I don't know how to say this word, sorry.
An enigma.
Lives, unmasked her face, and there is nature and the common law of things.
Okay, let's stop. Okay. That's just, I want to stop right there. Okay, thank you. So we just review that silently for a minute. So Savitri has been describing the realm of the Divine Mother from which she creates the worlds. In the earlier passage, it began in her glorious kingdom of eternal light. Okay? And then there she sits holding the eternal child upon her knees. And then he begins here in this part, there is the image of our future's hope. So there in that realm, there is the imperishable harmony, this reconciliation of the dualities. The world's contradictions climb to her and are one. Again, he refers to the Divine Mother who sits in that realm, creating. And there is the truth, of which the world's truths are shreds. Here all is divided by mind, severed by mind, so we only see little pieces and aspects of the reality, torn, incomplete. There is the light, of which the world's ignorance is the shade. And the love is there, and the bliss is there, for which we yearn. And thence comes the glory sometimes seen on earth. From there comes the glory, the visits of Godhead to the human soul, the beauty and the dream on nature's face. And from there, the perfection born from eternity calls to it the perfection born in time. It is calling to earth for the perfection that is evolving here. The truth of God's surprising human life, the image of God overtaking finite shapes. So from there it calls, but from there also it surprises and overtakes its creation, its manifestation here on earth. There, in a world of everlasting light, in the realms of the immortal supermind. Those realms are always there, above us, waiting, calling, helping. There the truth lives, manifest in the stark structure of material form. Unenigmad lives, unenigmad, without puzzle or mystery. There the dualities are reconciled. There all lives in oneness, in knowledge. Unmasked her face, she stands manifest, unmasked. And there is nature, and the common law of things. In that realm of the supermind, nature also exists. The many also exist, but reconciled to their oneness, their underlying oneness. Each knows itself as a face of the divine, of the one divine. So we'll continue, Alan.
The hearthstone of the ever-living fire. Action translates the movements of the soul. Thought, steps, infallible and absolute. The life is a continual worship's rite, a sacrifice of rapture to the one, a cosmic vision, a spiritual sense, feels all the infinite lodged in finite form, and seen through a quivering ecstasy of light, discovers the bright face of the bodiless. On the truth of a moment, in the moment's soul, can slip the honey wine of eternity. A spirit who is no one and innumerable, the one mystic, infinite person of this world, multiplies his myriad personality on all his bodies, seals divinity's stamp, and sits in each immortal and unique. The immobile stands behind each daily act, a background of the movement and the scene, upholding creation on its might and calm, the change on the immutable's deathless poise.
Thank you. Let's pause. Now, this is very interesting and important. He's describing these supramental realms. Mm. Yeah. Mm. Right. Mm. Mhm. So, right. So Sri Aurobindo has talked of the way through the Divine Mother, because she is the creatrix, the creator, and she creates this manifestation in light, in knowledge. But let's see this manifestation of what Sri Aurobindo here intends and says will come on earth, our future's hope. There in a body made of spirit stuff. So there's physical bodies, but it's made of spirit stuff. No longer inconscient matter, but awakened matter. The hearthstone of the ever-living fire, action translates the movements of the soul. So all action is a direct expression from the soul, from that divine element, the divine self within. There's no mistranslation, no ignorant movements, no wrong movements. In what? In the record of yoga?
He explains that every level has a different substance. It's very different.
So there are different levels of substance, more or less conscious, more or less inconscient. And so at the highest level, he's describing this kind of conscious substance, which will give perfect expression to the truth within. Not like our substance, which is subject to decay, to disease, to accident, to death. Right, right. Thought, he describes, steps infallible and absolute. No longer an ignorant thought, but it just is a direct expression of the truth within, infallible, without error. And life is a continual worship's rite, a sacrifice of rapture to the One. It's interesting that he puts this description of life in this way, of how it's becomes a conscious offering to the One. What is life for? It's a movement and expression of the One to the One. In that way, it becomes conscious of its origin and its goal. And then there's a cosmic vision, a spiritual sense, which feels all the infinite lodged in finite form. All things, all forms, one senses the infinite, the divine within them, or as manifestations of it. And seen through a quivering ecstasy of light, discovers the bright face of the bodiless. There's also in that sense, that supramental sense, which perceives the one in the one mystic infinite person of his world. Multiplies his myriad personality. On all his bodies seals his divinity's stamp. He's there within each form, within each body. Each is an expression of him, of one aspect of him. All are divine. He sits within all and sits in each, immortal and unique. Each one expresses an aspect of his divinity. The immobile stands behind each daily act, not only behind each form, but each action also manifests himself. A background of the movement and the scene, upholding creation on its might and calm and change, on the immutables, the unchangeables, deathless poise. That immutable, unchanging one underlies all change, just as we can find within ourselves this unchanging calm and quietude that can face all the challenges and difficulties that we see in ourselves and around us in the world. That is the constant state of the beings who live in this realm of the supermind and will live in our world in the future. So let's continue, Tinika. No. Okay. Would you like to read?
So me? Oh.
The timeless looks out.
What? I lost it. Yeah, here. No. The timeless looks out from the traveling hours. The ineffable puts on a robe of speech, where all its words are woven like magic threads, moving with beauty, inspiring with their gleam, and every thought takes up its destined place, recorded in the memory of the world. The truth supreme, vast and impersonal, fits faultlessly the hour and circumstance. Its substance a pure gold, ever the same, but shaped into vessels for the spirit's use. Its gold becomes the wine jar and the vase. All there is a supreme epiphany. The all-wonderful makes a marvel of each event. The all-beautiful is a miracle in each shape. The all-blissful smites with rapture the heart's throbs. A pure celestial joy is the use of the sense. Each being there is a member of the self, a portion of a million thoughted all, a claimant to the timeless unity, the many's sweetness, the joy of difference, edged with the intimacy of the one.
Thank you. Let's pause. Everything there expresses the one divine within, is an expression of it, and is not severed from it in any way. It's consciously expressive of the divine. It feels the divine being as its own self. Each being, each event, each form is conscious in this way. The timeless looks out from the traveling hours, the ineffable, which cannot be described in words, puts on a robe of speech where all its words are woven like magic threads, moving with beauty, inspiring with their gleam, and every thought takes up its destined place, recorded in the memory of the world. We might even think of the inspired verses of Savitri in this context, kind of taking up each word put in its perfect place, expressive of the divine, inspiring with their gleam, and recorded in the memory of the world. Now all these lines are here recorded for all time, for all to see and review. Everything expresses the divine in this way, purely and perfectly ordered, rhythmed. All there is a supreme epiphany, a supreme revelation of the indwelling divinity. The all-wonderful makes a marvel of each event. The all-beautiful is a miracle in each shape. The all-blissful smites with rapture the heart's throbs. For Sri Aurobindo, this is the nature of the divine, the ultimate kind of expression of the divine. Bliss and beauty are its very nature, its very substance. A pure celestial joy is the use of sense. And the whole manifestation, the expression in the multiplicity, in forms, in beings, in events, its only purpose is for this joy of manifestation. Here, this, in the ignorance of our world at present, this joy gets severed by mind into joy and pain, pleasure and suffering. But there in that realm of the supermind, in the coming transformation of our world, that severance will be healed. All beings will have the divine as their self and will express that self through their form, through their acts, through their thoughts, will express that divine perfectly. the many's sweetness, the joy of difference, edged with the intimacy of the one. Shall we? One more. Continue. Maybe Nish. Nish. You like to?
But who shall show to thee truth's glorious face? Our human words can only shadow her. To thought she is an unthinkable rapture of light. To speech a marvel inexpressible. O death, if thou couldst touch the truth supreme, thou wouldst grow suddenly wise and cease to be. If our souls could see and love and clasp God's truth, its infinite radiance would seize our hearts. Our being in God's image be remade, and earthly life become the life divine. Then death the last time answered Savitri. If truth supreme transcends her shadow here, severed by knowledge and the climbing vasts, what bridge can cross the gulf that she has left between her and the dream world she has made? Or who could hope to bring her down to men and persuade to tread the harsh globe with wounded feet, leaving her unapproachable glory and bliss, wasting her splendor on pale earthly air? Is thine that strength, O beauty of mortal limbs? O soul who flutters to escape my net, who then art thou hiding in human guise?
Thank you. Let's pause there. So Savitri concludes her speech, her reply to death. And she says, she has explained and described all of this philosophy, we could say, this philosophy of evolution, of the manifestation of the divine in matter, its gradual evolution, opening up to the spiritual mind, and above, opening to the supermind. receiving from above this supramental light and its transforming power. She has described all this, but then she says, but who can show this truth to you? Our human words can only shadow her. To thought, she is an unthinkable rapture of light. To speech, a marvel inexpressible. So he's given us this in words and descriptions. But what we need to do is open to this consciousness, to this higher supramental light and force. And if once we can do this, then we will see and will become, will be transformed in that light and force and bliss. O death, if thou couldst touch the truth supreme, thou wouldst grow suddenly wise and cease to be. Because he represents that shadow, that ignorance, that division of the light. And then he just says this more broadly, if our souls could see and love and clasp God's truth, its infinite radiance would seize our hearts, our being in God's image be remade, and earthly life become the life divine. So that's what we must do to know this truth. Not only read about it, see and love and clasp God's truth. And then the divine would come into us. Its infinite radiance would seize our hearts, and our being in God's image be remade, and earthly life become the life divine. And then death answers and says, well, how are we going to bridge this gap between our life of ignorance here in the world, our life surrounded by suffering and death? How are we going to bridge this gulf between this world and that world of the Divine Mother above this supramental world? How can these two worlds be joined, be reconciled with each other? And he says, are you that power that can bridge this divide? Are you the Divine Mother seated above, that creatrix seated in that divine world? Can you remake this world here? What bridge can cross the gulf that she has left between her and the dream world she has made? Or who could hope to bring her down to men and persuade to tread the harsh globe with wounded feet, leaving her unapproachable glory and bliss, wasting her splendor on pale earthly air. And perhaps here we get the rationale of the Divine Mother's descent into this world, her descent in the avatar, in the embodied being of Savitri and the Divine Mother of the ashram, to bring this supramental divine life here on earth. She comes down to tread the harsh globe with wounded feet. She bears the suffering, the death, and the ignorance of life here to bring down that glory from above into her own being. Is thine that strength, O beauty of mortal limbs, O soul who flutterest to escape my net? Who then art thou, hiding in human guise? So I think we'll stop there for today, and we'll read the conclusion of this next time.
light to her. Why should the Lord and the immortals will stoop to the bidding works of consciousness? Freedom, glory, and eternal thought. She answered, "Stay, I come along the road, the strong and huge for me, which planned our path. Freedom in this liberty. Loving life's limits, strong in matters not, building great self-reflection from the world, to make fine wisdom from forth scattered fun, and love and beauty out of war and night, the major wonderful thing begun.
Thanks to Sri Aurobindo.